Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Adriana. I'm a knitter living on the east coast of Canada, and it's the end of the year. I wanted to get one last podcast episode in for 2024 before we start with 2025. It's going to be short and sweet. I only have 3 projects to talk about, so I don't expect this one to be too long or long-winded. I feel like I don't have a lot to say about these projects. But yeah, we'll just get into it. I have one finished object, which you can see here. These are my Christmas socks that I decided to do this year. I did end up following a pattern for these. I followed the Hermione's Everyday Socks pattern by Erica Luder, which has a nice texture to it. I felt like it was kind of not like Christmas lights, but a little bit. It kind of looks like Christmas lights or like decorations almost on a tree, the texture. I did just do a regular slip stitch heel flap instead of the modified one that's in the pattern. And I have a different stitch count for the main part of the sock. I started with the 64 stitches that I think the pattern says to do 64 stitches. I started with 64 stitches and did 2x2 ribbing for the cuff. And then in the first round after finishing the cuff, I decreased to 60 stitches because I felt like that would be a better fit for my leg and foot. This is sport weight yarn, not fingering weight. The yarn I used was the Briggs & Little Sport 1-ply in the color 74 Scarlet. So yeah, this really bright red that I think is like a really perfect Christmas red. I had a few false starts with these socks, as has been the pattern with like most of my projects lately, where I thought I wanted to have kind of like a ruffle or something at the very top of the socks to make them a little more, I don't know, festive or something. And so I had started with, I first cast on with just doing, I think 5 or 6 rounds of stockinette to have like a rolled edge, but I did not like the way it looked once it was on my calf. It didn't look the same as when it's off your foot and like relaxed. When it's stretched out, it loses the effect, I feel like. So I ripped that all out, and then I actually tried doing kind of like a lettuce edge ruffle. But that too, I found you kind of lose the effect once it's on your leg and stretched out more. And I also didn't like the feeling of it under like the feeling of that ruffly edge under my, like the leg of my pants. So I thought, I don't really like the look of how it looks on, and I don't like the feeling of it. So I ripped that out too and just did a normal 2x2 rib cuff. I also kind of thought, if I do like a ruffly edge and then rib and then the pattern, I felt like that would be a little too much going on for these socks. So I'm glad I decided to just do the regular pattern socks with no extra thing at the top. I made the leg longer than I've made, I think, almost any sock leg. I wanted it to go kind of really high up. I think I knit the leg before starting the heel flap. I think it was to 8 inches, which is longer than normal for sure. But I really like the look of tall socks that are pushed down a bit, so they're scrunched up a little bit and have a little more texture that way. And yeah, I'm really happy with how these turned out. They perfectly fit my vision. I wanted a pair of red socks for Christmas that had some sort of texture on it that wasn't like screaming Christmas, but like I said, I feel like the pattern in the red looks a little like Christmas lights, or yeah, maybe like snow or something. If this was in white, I guess it would look more like snow, but yeah, I feel like these are really nice Christmas socks. Obviously that I can wear at different times of the year, but that if you're wearing them at Christmas, it's like, yeah, these are my Christmas socks. So really happy with this project, and I got it done in time for me to be able to wear them on Christmas, which is exciting. That was my only finished object from the last month. I had been working on a set of family slippers for myself and the rest of my family, and I've run into a roadblock with those. I do have one pair that are like almost finished. This is the double slippers pattern by Liv Stangland, and I believe it was published by Sandnes Garn. So yes, I have completed like the knitting part of a set of these slippers, but I'm having issues felting it. The yarn doesn't want to felt. These have gone through the washing machine with, I just put them in with any time that I am like washing towels or sheets or something that I'm using like hot temperatures and like a lot of agitation. I put these in with it. If I'm using the dryer, I'll put these in the dryer with them too to try and get some more felting going. But they've been through the washing machine probably 8 times now, and then the dryer maybe 5 or 6 times. And they're definitely felted a bit, but they still have like a lot of stretch. You can still like see all the stitches pretty clearly, and they're not shrinking to the size that I want them to be. I think I'll keep trying, like keep just putting them in with whatever washing load that I'm doing with hot water and stuff to try and get them to felt more. Because I did make a swatch actually. Yeah, I did make a swatch that I ended up hand felting, and I feel like there's still a little bit of stretch, but I feel like this has a lot more stretch still. So yeah, I'm not like loving how this project is going. What I am enjoying about it are the changes I made to the pattern. I made some pretty significant changes to the pattern. First, like beginning with the cast on. How the pattern has you beginning this project is casting on and then working in the round, and then at the end you seam up your cast on edge. You seam it together. So I started with a Turkish cast on so that I wouldn't have to do that seaming in the end. I also cast on a few less stitches than what it called for and increased on either end. I think every other round 3 times to make it more of a rounded edge so that the heel wouldn't be as pointy. Like before it was very pointy, and now it's just got a little bit more of like a rounded heel, which I like. And then I also made one of the feet slightly smaller than the other one so it would fit inside the other foot better. Yeah, this is the regular one, and then this one I had 2 less stitches on my needles, and then I knit it, I think 1 or 2 rows less than what the pattern said to do. And I feel like that just made it so the smaller one fit inside the bigger one better without having, like, you kind of eliminate that bunching up of fabric. Although because this isn't super felted, I feel like the outer foot can expand a little bit better to accommodate for the extra fabric going inside it. So yeah, those were the modifications I made. And I'm really happy with how the modifications went. I just don't love this yarn. Me and this yarn we're not really getting along, because this was yarn from my Wednesday sweater that I made and hated. And I ripped it all out to make these because I thought it would be good yarn for felting. And it's, yeah, like I said, it's taken like 8 rounds in the washing machine to get to this point, which it's felted to the point where I couldn't unravel it, but it's absolutely not like, it's still so stretchy. So it's not like felted. I'll keep putting it through the wash, seeing if it gets smaller. Hopefully it does. And then I'm waiting to start the other slippers because I want to see what size I can get this down to. I took measurements of like pre-felting to know how much this yarn can shrink down, to know like what sizes to make for everyone else. So yeah, this is still, I was hoping to finish all of these slippers before Christmas, so it would be like a family Christmas gift, but it's just taking forever to get these to actually felt to where they're like, I want it to get to this point, but on the slippers, I'm gonna hold it together. I feel like there is a difference, that this is more felted than this. And you might be like, okay, well, just hand felt this. I tried hand felting these and I lasted like 30 seconds because my arms got so sore from like vigorously rubbing the fabric against itself. So that's why I'm just doing like slowly but surely in the washing machine. So yeah, this has gone from a let's get it done by Christmas project to it's just gonna get done when it gets done. Hopefully before the end of the winter, so my kids can wear the slippers while it's still cold. But I guess it just all depends on like how long it takes these to actually felt to where I want them to be. I only have one more work in progress project to show you, and it's, let me show you. Can you tell what it is? This is all I have of it. It's quite literally like just the cast on of this project. It is the start of the Harlow sweater V-neck by Kadri. I made a swatch for this project, which is a rarity for me to do. I wanted to see if I could get gauge with just this yarn or if I would need to get silk mohair to hold with it. And guys, I got gauge with the intended needle size, which never happens for me. I usually have to increase the needle size by like 0.5 millimeter, and I got gauge with just like holding this yarn single. This yarn is the yarn that is local to me from sheep that lives like just 10 minutes up the road. Do I have a tag here? I don't have a tag, but it's Old School Acres yarn, and yeah, it's undyed, really beautiful sheep's wool. The other reason I did a swatch was because this yarn, even though it's all from the same lot, like it was from the same the same batch that was sent to the mill, and it was all processed, I'm assuming, at the same time, and it's from the same sheep, but there is definitely some color variation. I got 8 hanks of this yarn, and 5 of them were like, well, 5 of them were this color, a warm gray, and then 3 of them were this color, a much more warm and like brown color. So yeah, you can really see the difference as I'm holding them up here. I have had issues in the past with, with having a color variation within the same dye lot, actually with the yarn that I'm using here. Which, oh, by the way, this is the yarn that I'm using is the Briggs & Little Atlantic 3-ply yarn in the color, I think it's medium gray. Yeah, very thick, very rustic yarn. So anyway, this clearly 2 different colors. So I didn't want it to be like a thick stripe of darker color, and I know I don't have enough in those 5. Like if there was only one that was a darker color, I might just be like, oh, I'll knit it a bit more cropped, or a little like with less positive ease, and just not use the darker color. But because 3 of them were this darker color, I couldn't get away with using the 5 other colors to make a full sweater. So I made the swatch by doing every 2 rows was one of the different colors. So starting with, I don't know what I started with, but let's say starting with the lighter color, knit back and forth, and then switch to the darker color, knit back and forth. And I feel like, can you see stripes? Be honest, do you see stripes? I've held it in the sunlight and I've asked other people. I feel like if you think about it, you can see stripes, but I feel like there's a color variation within each yarn. In the yarn that's lighter overall in color, there are sections of darker wool that, like, I feel like it makes it so it's more kind of mottled or marled rather than striped. I think what I'm going to do is, once I'm in the round, I'll do helical knitting, which I've never done before. So alternating between like a lighter skein and a darker skein of this yarn. I'm a little bit stumped on how I'm going to do that for all the top portion where that's worked flat. Oh, the sweater is a drop shoulder sweater with a V-neck with 2x2 ribbing around the neck and cuffs and hem. So I'm a little stumped on how I'm going to really blend the 2 yarns during the like back and front part, like before you connect in the round under the arms. Yeah, I'm not sure how I'm gonna do that, because I don't want it. Ideally, I would do like every other row, like 1 row of the light color and then the next row of the dark color, then the light color, then the dark color, just to really blend it, because I feel like it does want to blend, but the 2 rows, like every other 2 rows, is, you can kind of see it, like if you think about it. So I feel like the only way you can do it every other row when you're working flat is to have 4 balls of yarn going at the same time, right? Which seems like a lot for yarn management, but I'm willing to do it to make it so that it's really blended and does not look striped. Yeah, so that's my swatch. Again, please be honest. Tell me if you see, like, does this look like a striped swatch? I'll kind of move it around a bit. I feel like in some lighting, it looks just kind of like there's some color variation, but in some lighting, I'm like, oh, I feel like this looks striped. So yeah, I'm confident enough that if I do it like every other row, it will be blended versus like 2 rows every other. So yeah, I am just literally done the cast on. This is a very, I don't want to say strange, but I've never done the start of a sweater like this. I mean, I've only knit 4 or 5 sweaters. So I've never done a cast on like this. You start by making an I-cord. So you can see here, I have an I-cord. That's like a tube. And then I picked up stitches all along the I-cord to start the back part of the sweater. So yeah, I'm definitely not really like, I can't really comment much on how this is going because I've literally only just started it. But working with this yarn, I love working with this yarn. I'm at the point now, I'm kind of stalling because I'm at the point now where I'm gonna have to start like switching between balls of yarn to really make it look blended. And I'm so scared that it's not gonna look blended. That's, I think, what's stopping me from really like getting going on this project. But I just need to get past it and choose how I'm going to do this blending of the yarn and just go for it. Because I'm so excited about knitting with this yarn, and I'm so excited about like the finished product at the end. Like, I think it's a beautiful sweater and I'm gonna wear it so much. I love this color. Yeah, so I just have to start trying some sort of yarn blending technique. Try it. If it doesn't work, I can always rip it out, and then I get to knit with this yarn twice. I have no knitting related acquisitions except for this bowl. It's not specifically a yarn bowl. Like, I know you can get like yarn bowls that have the little cutout thing on the side that makes it so your yarn only comes out from one spot. This is a bowl that my uncle made. He enjoys woodworking, and yeah, he made a bunch of bowls and gave them to all of my extended family for Christmas. And it's such a beautiful bowl, and this one is like the perfect size to fit like a full cake of yarn. So that's what I'm using my bowl as. And it's nice because then as I'm pulling yarn, it doesn't fly all over the place or fall on the floor. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I love all the patterning on the wood, and I feel like it just adds another element of beauty to my knitting hobby. That's everything I have to talk about. Short and sweet, like I said. I hope everyone is having a wonderful holiday season, and if you were doing gift knits, I hope you were able to get them done on time and are happy with how they're turning out. Enjoy the rest of the holiday season, and I guess I'll see you in 2025. Bye!